The storm raged outside the wrecked transport ship, lightning flashing across the barren wasteland of the frontier planet. Captain Ryan Hayes stumbled through the smoke-filled corridor, his flashlight flickering over twisted metal and shattered glass. He was searching for survivors. The human rescue team had already pulled out 6 bodies, 5 dead, 1 barely breathing, but the scanners showed 1 life sign deeper inside. He moved closer, boots crunching over debris until he heard a faint whimper. Behind a fallen bulkhead, he found her, an alien girl, barely conscious, covered in soot and blood. Her skin shimmered faintly blue, a sign of oxygen loss in her species. Her clothing, thin ceremonial fabric, was burned and torn, soaked in some strange silver liquid. She looked terrified when his shadow fell over her. Ryan dropped to his knees. "Hey, it's okay, I'm not here to hurt you," he said gently. The girl's glowing eyes blinked weakly. "You human?" Her voice trembled, each word difficult. "Yes," he nodded, pulling out a med scanner. "I'm Captain Hayes, Emergency Rescue Division. I'm going to help you." She tried to move away but cried out in pain. The scanner beeped. Critical injuries, deep tissue burns, internal bleeding. She wouldn't last long without medical treatment. Ryan tore open his med kit, preparing the stabilizer injection. But when he reached for her shoulder, she suddenly grabbed his wrist, her strength surprising him. "Please," she whispered, tears mixing with the ash on her cheeks. "Don't remove my clothes." Ryan froze. For a moment, he didn't understand. Her tone wasn't shy, it was filled with terror. "I need to treat your wounds," he explained softly. "You're bleeding." "I have to see where." She shook her head violently, trembling. "If you do, they'll know. They'll mark me. Please, human, don't." He didn't know who they were, but her fear was real. Ryan's heart pounded as he looked around. The ship's hull was unstable. Time was running out. "Listen," he said, voice firm but kind. "You'll die if I don't help you." "I promise I'll protect you. No one will hurt you again." The alien girl looked at him for a long moment, eyes full of despair. Finally, she released his wrist. "You promise?" "I promise." Ryan took a deep breath and carefully began cutting away the burned fabric. As the cloth peeled away, he froze. Underneath wasn't just injury, it was something else. Her skin wasn't just burned. It was scarred with strange symbols glowing faintly beneath the surface, like marks burned into her flesh. Ritual marks. Ownership marks. He swallowed hard, realizing what they were. He had seen it once before, on captured slaves from the Joran Empire. Each mark meant she belonged to someone, or something. When she saw his expression, her lips trembled. "Now you see," she whispered bitterly. "I am not allowed to be touched. They will kill me if they find out." Ryan felt his stomach twist. "Who did this to you?" Her eyes darted toward the darkness. "The ones who bought me. The ones who own everything." The walls groaned around them as fire spread through the wreckage. He wanted to ask more, but the roof above began to collapse. Without thinking, he lifted her into his arms. She gasped, startled. But he held her close and ran toward the exit. Outside, the cold wind struck his face. The rescue shuttle was waiting at the ridge. Behind him, the alien ship exploded, lighting the night sky in orange fire. He looked down at the trembling girl in his arms, half burned, half frozen, but alive. She looked up at him and whispered faintly, "You shouldn't have helped me. Human. Now they'll come for you, too." Ryan stared into the darkness beyond the burning wreck, feeling a chill that had nothing to do with the cold. He didn't know who they were, but somehow he knew she was right. The rescue shuttle sliced through the night sky, carrying only 2 survivors, Captain Ryan Hayes and the mysterious alien girl. The hum of the engines filled the silence between them. Ryan sat across from her, watching as she trembled beneath a gray blanket, her luminous blue skin pale under the cabin lights. She hadn't spoken since the explosion, only clutching the edge of the seat as if afraid of the air itself. Ryan's communicator buzzed. "Captain Hayes, report," came the voice of Commander Aaron from the base. "You found a survivor?" "Yes," Ryan replied. "Female alien origin. Severe trauma. Species still unconfirmed. Copy that. Bring her to medbay for full decontamination and examination." The word decontamination made the alien flinch. Her breathing quickened. Ryan lowered his voice, turning off the comm. Hey, don't worry. They just want to make sure you're not hurt worse than you look. Her gaze shot up, wide with fear. No, not there. Please, not your medical place. Her reaction stunned him. Why not? She shook her head violently. Your machines, they will scan my body. They'll see the marks. Then they'll send me back. Back where? She looked away, voice breaking. To the ones who own me. Ryan's hands clenched. There it was again, that word, own. Whoever they were, they had broken her long before he found her. When the shuttle landed at Outpost Vega 17, the night was cold and silent. Ryan helped her walk down the ramp, wrapping the blanket tighter around her. The guards stared, but didn't question him. His reputation as a decorated rescue officer kept them quiet. He led her through the back entrance of the facility, avoiding the main halls where medtechs were stationed. Where are you taking me? She asked softly. To my quarters, he said. You need rest before anything else. Her eyes narrowed. Why help me? Humans do not help my kind. Ryan looked at her. Because you asked me not to take off your clothes and you were terrified. That was enough for me to know you needed saving. She stared at him for a long time, as if searching his face for lies. Then she whispered, My name is Liara. He nodded. Liara. Pretty name. Inside his quarters, Ryan offered her water and a thermal blanket. She hesitated before accepting, sipping slowly as if unused to comfort. He sat across from her, observing the faint glow that still pulsed beneath her skin, those strange marks that looked almost alive. Liara, he began gently. Those symbols. They're not natural, are they? Her hand went to her shoulder instinctively, covering the mark beneath the blanket. They are not symbols, she murmured. They are commands. Commands! She nodded, voice trembling. My people were bred to obey. Each mark holds control over our bodies, our pain, our will, even our thoughts. The masters can make us kneel, speak, or die with a single code. Ryan's chest tightened. The idea of such cruelty made his blood boil. That's slavery. That's normal, she interrupted bitterly. To them, we are tools, not lives. Silence stretched between them. Then, faintly, she added, When you removed my clothes, the control mark activated. Somewhere my masters saw it light up. They know I live. Ryan froze. You mean they can track you? Yes, she whispered, eyes glistening. And now, they will come. A cold dread filled him. He stood pacing the room, his mind racing. The outpost was lightly guarded, barely a dozen soldiers, no heavy defenses. If what she said was true, her captors wouldn't just send a rescue party. They'd send a purge team. Then we'll leave, Ryan said firmly. Before they arrive, Liara looked at him in disbelief. You would abandon your base for me? He met her eyes. I'm a rescue officer. Saving people is my job. Doesn't matter if they're human or not. For the first time, she smiled faintly. Small, fragile, but real. But as the base alarm suddenly wailed in the distance, both turned toward the window. Red lights flashed through the night sky. Ryan's communicator buzzed again, this time frantic. Captain Hayes! Multiple unidentified ships entering orbit, hostile signatures detected. Liara's trembling hand gripped his sleeve. They're here, she whispered. The masters have come for me. The alarm's sharp wail filled the outpost as red warning lights flashed across every corridor. Captain Ryan Hayes sprinted toward the command deck, his boots thudding on the metal floor. Behind him, Liara struggled to keep up, still weak but determined not to be left behind. The night outside was alive with streaks of fire. The enemy ships had already entered the atmosphere. Commander Aaron! Ryan shouted as he entered the control room. We've got incoming Zoran ships, at least 5. Aaron's pale face turned toward him. You brought her here, didn't you? She said coldly. The scans showed her signal the moment you landed. She's the reason they found us. Ryan's jaw tightened. She's not the enemy. No, Aaron snapped. But because of her, we might all be dead by sunrise. Before Ryan could respond, the comms officer shouted, Captain! They're deploying ground units, biomechs moving fast. The screen displayed dozens of heat signatures closing in on the outpost perimeter. Ryan turned to Liara. Is there any way to disable their tracking? She shook her head, her voice trembling. The marks respond only to their master code. If they're close enough, they can make me obey again. Not while I'm alive, Ryan said. He grabbed his rifle and tossed another to her, but she hesitated. I can't fight, she whispered. He looked her in the eyes. Then stay behind me. Outside, the night erupted in chaos. Metallic monsters, towering constructs of bone and steel, landed in the sand, their red eyes burning. Human soldiers opened fire, bullets and plasma rounds lighting up the darkness. Ryan led his team toward the western gate, where the largest breach had formed. Liara followed closely, her bare feet splashing through the mud. She watched, terrified, as humans fought with desperate courage against impossible odds. One soldier was grabbed by a mech's claw and flung into the air like a doll. Another screamed as energy bolts ripped through his armor. Ryan raised his rifle and fired, blasting a mech's head apart. Keep moving, he yelled. Then Liara saw something glowing beneath her skin, her mark pulsing brighter with every passing second. Pain seared through her nerves. She fell to her knees, clutching her arm as if it were burning from the inside. Ryan turned back instantly. Liara! He dropped beside her, pulling her up, but her eyes were glassy with agony. They're calling me, she gasped. They want me to walk to them, he gritted his teeth. Fight it. You're not their property anymore. I can't, she cried. It's stronger than my will. He thought fast. What if I cut it out? Her eyes widened in terror. You'll kill me. Then give me another option. She closed her eyes, trembling. There is one, but it's forbidden. My people used to speak of an ancient override. A human touch near the heart can disrupt the command link, only if done with intent to protect. Ryan stared at her, confused but desperate. Tell me what to do. She placed his hand on her chest, right over the glowing mark that pulsed through her thin skin. Mean it, she whispered through tears. Mean that I am free. He took a deep breath, focusing, his hand pressed firmly to her heart. You're free, Liara. No one owns you. Not anymore. A shockwave burst through the air. White energy flared around them both. Liara screamed, the light blinding, and then silence. When the light faded, the mark was gone. Burned out, Liara collapsed into his arms, breathing weakly but alive. The soldiers nearby froze in shock. Even the mechs hesitated for a moment, as if their connection had been severed. Ryan looked at her, his voice trembling. You did it. She opened her eyes slightly. No, you did. The ground shook as the Zoran dropship descended nearby. Dozens more mechs marched through the dust. The pause was over. Ryan held Liara close and whispered, We're not dying here. He turned toward the roaring machines, fire lighting his eyes. If they want her back, he said quietly, raising his rifle, they'll have to come through me first. Smoke covered the sky as the outpost burned. Explosions thundered in the distance while Ryan dragged Liara into the underground hangar, his last hope for survival. The heavy doors sealed shut behind them, blocking out the screams, the chaos, and the smell of burning metal. Liara clung to him, shaking. The glow on her chest was gone, but her body was cold and weak. Ryan laid her gently on a crate, his chest rising and falling with exhaustion. You need to rest, he said softly. She shook her head. There is no time. They will not stop. You broke the link, Ryan. You humiliated them. Now, they'll want to destroy everything you love. He stared at her. Why you? Why are they so desperate to get you back? Her eyes lowered. Because I am not like the others. I was their prototype. Ryan frowned. Prototype? Yes, she whispered. A weapon made from life. A being engineered to obey, to heal, to survive any wound. They created me to lead others like me. Perfect soldiers bound by command codes. Ryan felt the blood drain from his face. You're telling me you're a living weapon? She nodded weakly. But I never wanted to fight. I escaped before they could finish the final command sequence. That is why they branded me. To remind me I was unfinished, imperfect. He knelt beside her. You're not imperfect. You're alive. That's what matters. Liara's eyes glimmered, but her voice cracked. You don't understand, human. If they get me, they'll use me to rebuild the army. Millions like me. They'll conquer worlds. Yours included. Before Ryan could reply, the ground shook violently. Dust fell from the ceiling as a deep metallic roar echoed through the tunnels. The Zoran mechs had found the hangar entrance. Ryan grabbed his rifle and loaded the last power cell. We're out of time. Liara reached for his hand. There is a hidden route beneath this floor, an old transport tunnel. It leads to the canyon outside, but you'll have to trigger the manual gate. It's sealed from the other side. So one of us has to stay? She nodded slowly. It must be me. I can override their systems if I stay connected. Ryan's heart pounded. No way, you'll be captured. Her lips curved into a sad smile. You saved me once, Ryan. Let me save you now. He grabbed her shoulders. I'm not leaving you behind. Her gaze softened. You have to. You're the only one who can tell the truth about what they've done. If the galaxy learns about the Zoran's experiments, maybe it stops here. The sound of metal tearing filled the air. The mechs were cutting through the upper hatch. Sparks rained down like fiery snow. Ryan made a decision. Then we both go. Liara blinked. Both? He nodded. You said the tunnel's sealed from the other side, right? So we'll blow it open. Before she could protest, he was already rigging his explosives to the wall. Once this detonates, the blast will collapse the upper shaft, slow them down, and open the lower path. You and I will die, she interrupted softly. He smiled faintly. Not today. The hatch above exploded inward. Massive shapes dropped through the smoke, red eyes glowing like demons. Energy bolts scorched the ground. Ryan threw himself over Liara as the first wave fired. His shoulder burned, but he didn't stop. Ready? He shouted. Liara pressed her hand against the floor, channeling a strange blue light. Circuits lit beneath her palm. The old tunnel system came alive. Now! She screamed. Ryan slammed the detonator. The explosion rocked the entire hangar, throwing both of them into the open shaft below. Dust, fire, and metal swallowed the world. They fell hard onto a lower platform, coughing through the smoke. The tunnel behind them sealed under rubble. Ryan pulled Liara close, his ears ringing. You okay? She nodded weakly. You blew up half the base. He grinned through the pain. Yeah, but we're alive. Above them, faint tremors echoed. The Zorans were still coming. But for now, in the silence of the underground passage, the two fugitives had bought a fragile moment of peace. Liara looked at him, her voice soft. You risked everything. For someone you barely know. Ryan met her gaze. I don't need to know you to know what's right. In the dim light of the tunnel, her eyes glowed faintly again. Not from pain this time, but something new. Something human. The dawn broke like blood over the wasteland. A cold wind whispered across the canyon floor, stirring the gray dust that stretched endlessly under a bruised sky. Ryan and Liara trudged forward, their shadows long against the rising sun. Behind them, faint plumes of smoke marked what was left of Outpost Vega 17, now a graveyard. Ryan's arm was badly burned, but he didn't stop. He had wrapped it with torn fabric, his rifle slung across his back. Liara walked silently beside him, her movements slower, weaker. Every few minutes, she would glance toward the sky, scanning for movement. They're still following, she murmured. I know, Ryan said grimly. Those dropships have long-range scanners. We'll need to find cover before nightfall. They followed the dry riverbed that wound through the canyon, the air thick with static. Ryan's tracker flickered with interference. Something was jamming the signal. He didn't like it. Liara, he said, can your people's tech do that? Jam scanners? She nodded faintly. They use pulse drones. Small, fast, invisible to human sensors. Ryan frowned. So they already know where we're going? Maybe, she said softly. But they don't know why I came here. Ryan glanced at her. Then tell me, why Vega 17? Why crash on a human world? Liara hesitated, her eyes distant. I didn't crash. I was shot down. Ryan stopped walking. By them? She shook her head. By humans? The words hit him like a punch. That's not possible. We don't even have long-range patrols in this sector. Liara looked at him sadly. You do now. Someone in your command didn't want me alive. Ryan felt a cold chill crawl down his spine. The more he learned, the less sense it made. He thought she was a victim of the Jorans, but now it seemed the humans weren't innocent either. They reached a narrow cave hidden behind jagged rocks. Ryan pushed aside the sand covering the entrance and motioned for her to go inside. It was dark, but safe. The air smelled of minerals and thyme. He dropped his pack and sat down, finally letting exhaustion hit him. Liara knelt nearby, tracing glowing patterns in the dirt with her finger. They shimmered faintly, symbols from her language. "I came to find someone," she said quietly. "A human scientist named Dr. Ilara Voss. She once worked with the Zorans before she defected. She helped create us." Ryan looked up sharply. "Voss! That name's classified. She vanished years ago." "She didn't vanish," Liara said. "She hid. She wanted to undo what she'd done. I was her last experiment, made not to obey but to feel, to question orders, to choose mercy." Ryan's breath caught. "So you were meant to be free?" Liara nodded. "Yes, but freedom came with pain. My mind was never built to carry it." Silence filled the cave. Outside, the wind howled through the canyon like a cry of ghosts. Ryan studied her glowing eyes. There was innocence there, but also deep sorrow. "You said she wanted to undo it," he said. "Do you know where she is?" "Somewhere north of here," Liara whispered. "She left coordinates in my neural code, but I can't unlock them. Not without her voice." Ryan rubbed his temples. "Then we find her. Maybe she can stop this, whatever they turned you into." Liara's lips trembled. "What if I'm the weapon they're already using to destroy you?" He looked at her firmly. "Then I'll destroy the weapon, but not you." Suddenly a sharp buzzing filled the air, a sound like slicing metal. Liara froze. "Pulse drone!" she hissed. Ryan grabbed his rifle and aimed toward the cave mouth. A flash of red light streaked by, followed by a shriek of static. The drone's beam cut through the stone wall, leaving molten scars. Ryan fired, the blast echoing in the narrow space. The drone burst into sparks and smoke, but its dying light projected something onto the wall, an image of Liara's face, marked with alien symbols, and the words, "Property of the Zoran Council." Ryan's heart sank. "They've tagged you again." Liara touched her chest. The faint glow had returned. "They found me." Ryan's voice hardened. "Then we move. Now." They ran through the narrow tunnels, the distant hum of more drones growing louder. The canyon's wind roared like an approaching storm. Liara looked back once, her voice shaking. "Ryan, if they capture me, don't let them take me alive." He gritted his teeth. "Don't say that." She looked at him sadly. "You promised to protect me. Sometimes, protection means ending the pain." Ryan didn't answer. He just grabbed her hand and ran faster. Because in that moment he realized saving her wasn't just about keeping her alive. It was about saving what was left of his own humanity. The desert stretched endlessly under the dying sun, a sea of red dust and shattered stone. Ryan's lungs burned as he and Liara climbed the last ridge. Below them, hidden between jagged cliffs, lay a metallic dome, half buried, half alive with faint blue light. Liara froze, her pupils dilating. "That's it," she whispered. "Dr. Voss's sanctuary." Ryan crouched, studying the dome through his rifle scope. The structure pulsed faintly, like it was breathing. The human architecture was unmistakable, but the energy signatures... alien. "Your creator mixed both technologies," he muttered. "Smart woman." Liara's voice trembled. "She was more than that. She was kind. The first human who didn't treat me like a project." Ryan glanced at her. The wind swept her silver-blue hair across her face, her eyes shimmering with a mixture of hope and fear. "Then let's bring her home." They descended the rocky slope and reached a sealed door carved into the dome. Ryan brushed away the sand to reveal an access panel. "Stand back," he said, connecting his wrist device. But before he could... "Hack it!" Liara stepped forward and pressed her palm against the metal. A soft hum rippled through the ground. The door opened on its own. Ryan blinked. "How did you—" "She built the locks to recognize my pulse," Liara said quietly. "She never wanted me to be trapped again." They entered the dome. The corridor beyond was dim, lined with glowing conduits that pulsed softly like veins. The air smelled faintly metallic but clean. Too clean. The silence was heavy, the kind that comes before the truth. They reached a central chamber. At its heart stood a stasis pod surrounded by dozens of hollow screens. Inside the pod was a woman. Human, mid-40s, her face peaceful beneath a haze of cryo-mist. "Dr. Voss," Liara whispered, stepping closer. Ryan's eyes widened. "She's been in cryo-sleep all this time." Liara touched the glass, and the systems flickered to life. The woman's eyelids fluttered open. Her gaze focused slowly, landing on Liara first, then Ryan. "Liara," she breathed. "You found me." The alien girl's voice shook. "You said you'd come for me. I waited so long." Dr. Voss smiled sadly. "I tried. But the Zorans discovered my betrayal. I hid here before they could silence me." "You survived. That's all that matters." Ryan stepped forward. "Doctor, I'm Captain Hayes of the Human Rescue Corps. The Zorans are hunting her. We need to shut down whatever they're using to track her." Dr. Voss's face hardened. "You can't shut it down." "Why not?" "Because the beacon isn't on her," the scientist said softly. "It is her." Liara turned pale. "What do you mean?" Dr. Voss hesitated, guilt shadowing her features. "You weren't just made to feel, Liara. You were made to transmit. Your body carries the last command key to the Zoran army. If activated, every soldier they built will awaken. You are their fail-safe." Liara staggered back. "No, I was supposed to be free." Tears welled in Dr. Voss's eyes. "I tried to rewrite you, to make you human, but the signal code is buried too deep. If they capture you, they'll use you to restart their empire." Ryan's stomach twisted. "So we destroy the beacon." Dr. Voss shook her head. "Destroying it means destroying her." For a long moment, no one spoke. The hum of the machines filled the silence. Liara sank to her knees, shaking. "Then I was never real," she whispered. "Just another weapon." Ryan knelt beside her, gripping her shoulders. "Don't say that. You chose to run. You chose mercy. That's more human than any of us." Dr. Voss's voice cracked. "There may be one way. If we overload her neural core, we can burn the signal without killing her. But it will erase everything she remembers. Her mind, her heart, even you." Ryan stared at her. "You're asking me to wipe her clean?" Dr. Voss nodded. "It's the only way to stop the war." Liara looked up, tears streaking her cheeks. "Ryan, if I forget you, will you still protect me?" He felt his throat tighten. "Always." Before he could say more, a thunderous boom shook the dome. The walls trembled. Dr. Voss turned toward the monitors, red lights flashing. "They found us," she whispered. "The Zorans are here." Ryan rose, weapon ready. "Then we fight, until she's free for real." The dome shook as fire rained from the sky. The Zoran army had arrived, blotting out the sun with their black ships. Ryan took position by the main blast door, rifle ready, while Dr. Voss and Liara worked frantically at the control console. Sparks showered from the ceiling. "They're breaching the perimeter!" Ryan shouted. "I just need 2 more minutes," Dr. Voss yelled back. "The override sequence is nearly stable." Liara's skin glowed brighter with every passing second. The code that lived inside her was awakening, responding to the signals outside. She could feel the pulse of the approaching army like a heartbeat in her skull. "They're calling me," she whispered, clutching her head. "They want me to open the link." Ryan rushed to her, gripping her shoulders. "Look at me!" You're not their weapon anymore. Do you hear me? Her eyes flickered between terror and trust. If I lose control, you have to stop me. I won't let that happen, he said, his voice breaking. Not again. A deafening explosion ripped through the outer walls. Mechs poured in, monstrous shapes of living metal, their eyes glowing red. Ryan fired, each shot cutting through smoke and flame. The recoil burned his arm, but he didn't stop. He fought like a man possessed, driven not by duty but by something deeper, something painfully human. Dr. Voss finished the command sequence. Ryan, she cried, it's ready, but it has to be activated from the neural link directly. I can't do it. You'll have to. He turned toward Liara. The realization hit him like lightning. If I start the sequence, she'll lose everything, won't she? Dr. Voss nodded, tears in her eyes. Her memories, her emotions, her connection to you, it'll all vanish, but it's the only way to stop the signal from spreading. Liara looked at him softly, as if already accepting her fate. It's okay, Ryan. You gave me something they never could. What's that? A choice. She stepped closer, placing his trembling hand over the mark on her chest, the same spot where he had once freed her. Do it! Let me go before they take me. Ryan's throat tightened. He wanted to scream, to refuse, but the walls were cracking and the mechs were closing in. Dr. Voss shouted over the chaos, Now, Captain! If she connects to them, billions will die. He stared into Liara's glowing eyes one last time. I'll find you again, he whispered. Her lips curved into a faint smile. Then I'll wait for you in whatever I become. He pressed the trigger on the neural injector. The chamber filled with white light, pure, blinding, and endless. Liara's body arched as the energy surged through her. Symbols flared across her skin, then dissolved one by one. The mechs froze mid-attack, their eyes dimming, their bodies collapsing like puppets with cut strings. The Joran ships overhead flickered and fell silent one after another until the sky itself went still. When the light faded, she slumped into his arms, alive, breathing, but empty. Her eyes, once alive with emotion, were calm and distant. She looked up at him without recognition. Who are you? She whispered. Ryan's heart shattered. Someone who kept a promise, he said quietly. Dr. Voss approached, her face pale but resolute. You saved her. And the galaxy. He shook his head. No. I just gave her freedom the only way I could. Outside, the sun broke through the smoke for the first time in days. The war was over. The Zoran's control network had been erased forever. Ryan watched the horizon, his arms still around Liara as she stared blankly into the light. She'll relearn everything, Dr. Voss said softly. Her mind will rebuild itself. You could teach her who she was. He looked at her, eyes filled with sorrow and hope. No. This time she'll choose who she wants to be. As they walked out of the shattered dome, Ryan glanced back once more at the ruins behind them. He thought of the words she had whispered that night in the wrecked ship. Please, don't remove my clothes. He finally understood. They weren't words of modesty, but of fear, of someone begging not to be exposed as something less than human. Now she was free of that fear, and for Ryan Hayes, that was enough.